Hi everyone. In continuation to our previous video where we have seen how to set up VCN and subnets using VCN Wizard, in today's video we are going to see how to set up computes. So Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Compute lets you provision and manage the compute host, which are also known as instances. So when you create these instances are automatically attached to something called as VNIC, that is Virtual Network Interface Card in the cloud's network subnet, and it you get an IP associated with the subnet CIDR block. Now, the private IP addresses that are assigned to these instances allows these instances within the cloud network to communicate. If your subnet is public, you can communicate these instances over the internet. However, if the compute is tried to private subnet, then the communication with the internet will require additional configuration. Now, when you set up this compute, you have to decide in what availability domains it will reside and within what fault domains those availability domains will reside. Now, before moving forward in setting up these computes on OCI, let's understand the fundamental concept of availability domain and fault domain. So availability domains are nothing but your data center. So when you set up the compute in some regions like Mumbai and Hyderabad, which has single AD setup, you will not have an option to pick and choose the availability domain or the data center. However, if you set up the compute in regions like Frankfurt, which has 3 AD setup, then you will have an option to pick and choose which AD you want to configure the instance in. Similarly, between availability domain and fault domain, there is 1:3 ratio. So every availability domain will have 3 fault domains. So once you decide the availability domain, you can pick and choose which fault domain you want your instance to reside into. Uh, if you don't select a certain fault domain, the Oracle Cloud setup will automatically pick and choose for you. So now with this understanding, let's go and see how to set up the compute on OCI. So when you log into your tenancy, go to compute instances. Here you will see whatever instances you have created earlier. If you see, I had created one instance which I have terminated. Now I'm going to create a new instance for this demo. So let's click on create instance. I'm going to rename it as demo compute. I'm going to keep the default compartment. Then if you see here, it is showing me AD1 as availability domain. If I click on edit, it is not giving me any option because I'm setting up this compute in Mumbai region, which does not have multi-AD setup. Let's click on advanced option. It gives me any option to pick and choose. Okay, it is not picking. It is not giving me any option to pick and choose AD. Let's see the fault domain. So if you see, every AD has 3 fault domains. Now you also have an option to pick and choose what fault domain you want this instance to reside in, or you can let Oracle decide which one to choose. So for now, I'm going to select the default option. Let Oracle choose the best fault domain. Let's scroll down. Now here you have two options to pick up your OS and the shape. So there are multiple images or OS that you have available to pick and choose from. Let's click on the edit button to see what all options do I have. I'm clicking on change image. So if you see, you have an option from between Oracle Linux, Ubuntu, uh, Alma Linux, Windows. All these options are available. Also, there's a list of it. Oracle Automatic Linux, Oracle Linux 6.10, Oracle Linux 7.9. So the difference between Autonomous Linux and Oracle Linux is Autonomous Linux auto patches itself, whereas the other Linux versions is you as an organization need to decide if you want to apply certain patches or not. So for now, I'm not going to select any other image and I'm going to go with the default one. So I'll click on cancel. Similarly, you have an option to pick and choose from various shapes that are available. So there is a default option which is given here, which is always free eligible. Let's see what other options I have. So you have an option to choose between virtual machine, wherein the infrastructure will be shared, and bare metal machine is something that is dedicated with a dedicated setup that is given to you. So you need to decide whether you are okay to share the infrastructure that is segregated by a virtualization software or virtualization technique, or you want a dedicated setup for you. Then there are different shape series like AMD, Intel, Ampere, and all that. So if you see here, the default option that is selected is specialty and previous generation. And inside that, by default, Oracle selects VM standard E2.1.micro, always free eligible. If you go for anything else, there might be additional charges you will incur. Because I'm just doing this for a demo purpose, I'm going to go with always free eligible. But as you can see here, there are different options that are available to you, and it really depends what kind of shape you want, with how many OCPUs and how many memory, how much memory you need that shape with. So if you see, there are various options here with 4 OCPUs, 8 OCPUs with 64 GB. So you need to decide with what kind of configuration you want your compute instance to be created with. I'll click on cancel here. Then the next option is networking. Let's see in the networking what options I have. If you see here inside networking, it is basically tying this compute instance with the VCN that we have set up earlier. So it is automatically selecting the VCN and it is automatically selecting the subnet. Now here you have an option to select whether you want to tie this compute instance with the public subnet or a private subnet. For now, I'm going to select public subnet only. Then the next option is SSH key pair. So a recommended practice is you have your own SSH key pair that is public and private key. If you don't have it with you, what you can do is you can use Puttigen. If you don't have Puttigen on your machine, you download Puttigen and generate a public and private key pair and give those public and private key here. For now, I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to go with the default one that is generate a key pair for me. And I'm going to download this private key and the public key for my reference, because these public and private keys will be required if I have to communicate and connect to this compute using through SSH or my putty. So it is very important that you download these key pairs and keep it handy with you. Then the next option is boot volume. So I'm not going to go into the details of boot volume because I will cover it in a separate video. But just because we have this option here, boot volume is nothing but a specific or special type of block volume that gets attached to your compute instance. The benefit of this is tomorrow, if you terminate a compute instance, you still have an option to terminate it by keeping the boot volume aside, and that boot volume then that boot volume you can use to create a fresh compute instance with a better higher capacity using the same configuration. So there are multiple options here. Specify a custom boot volume size, use in-transit encryption which encrypts the data during communication. I will uncheck it because I don't need it for this demo. And the last option is encrypt this volume with a key. So what happens is Oracle does this encryption automatically, but it uses its own keys. Now, if a customer or as an organization, you want to encrypt this using your own keys, then you can select this option. Once this is done, let's click on create. Okay, if you see here, the instance is provisioning now. And very soon you will see that the IPs will get populated here on the right hand side under primary VNIC. So this provisioning takes a couple of minutes. So I'm going to pause my video till the provisioning completes. All right. So it actually took less than a minute for this provisioning to complete. As you can see, the status is running now, and you have all the different options or the different parameters that are available here to see. So you have a public IP address of the instance that you have created. You have a private IP that you can see over here. You see a image that your instance is configured with. Then what shape you selected, what OCPU count you have selected, and all these details are visible to you here. If I scroll down, then you have different options here to see, like the boot volume, work request. So work request actually tells what all activities you have done with your instance. So the first activity we have done is created an instance that is completed successfully. Now let's see what we see under boot volume. So the boot volume that we have attached to this compute instance is visible over here, and you see the status as attached. If you want to detach this boot volume, you can detach this boot volume from here. If you want to attach another boot volume, you can attach another boot volume here. Now, one last thing is what is the how can we keep this boot volume when we terminate this compute instance? So that is one last thing I would like to show you. So let's go back to the instance detail or my instances. Okay. So what I wanted to show you here is when you if you want to terminate this compute instance, you just right click on this hamburger bar and click terminate. When you click on terminate, if you see here, ask you whether you want to terminate the instance, but you want to delete the boot volume also. If you think that the boot volume that is attached to this instance is no longer required for you, you can delete it, or you have an option to keep this boot volume but terminate the instance. So I'm not going to terminate this instance now. So I'm clicking on cancel. So this was a quick way in which you can set up your compute. You can attach a boot volume to it, and if you want, you can keep that boot volume while you terminate your compute instance as well. Hope you found this video insightful. If you have any questions around it, please drop them in the comment section. Thank you.